I hope you enjoyed your time together discussing, seeking to understand the truth, which was the second characteristic. It's going to be important that as you as a group understand that with this one especially that you just did, is that you need to listen more than you speak. It's almost the same as, two ears, one mouth, kind of keeping the same proportions. And that not only is it engaging only in the truth, but it's also going to be in your personal life. I can remember when Lisa and I were leaving to go to somebody's house. It was just a simple drive to their house, and we came up to an intersection. And she goes, "Hey, you should go right." And I go, "No, you should go left."
I can see what's coming here.
Yeah, and it's just a classic thing. She goes, "No, it's right. No, it's left." And I don't want to say bickered because it's on tape, but we had
a gentle
discussion
engagement of the truth.
We were seeking to understand each other, back and forth, back and forth. Well, come to find out, we both had made commitments to two separate houses for the same time that evening.
So you had two different events, but you thought you were talking about the same one.
And we thought we were going to the same one. So once we discovered that our marriage had a dent, but once we discovered many things, we realized that, when we found the truth, it played out in a deeper way.
So just as, we had the thing where we role-played, you're assuming you knew bulls and bears stuff, what that was. Here you guys had an assumption, and that's a lot of what this is about. We think we know what the Bible said. We heard it preached on, or we think we know something about ourselves because it's just kind of, we're in robot mode, and we don't take the time to say, wait a minute, let me not just be quiet and listen, but draw people out, ask them questions.
Because sometimes that listening is just not passive, but the listening is asking questions for clarity. Exactly what we did, but this one was a little bit more personable.
So if you took your personal situation, let's roll with that a little bit. What questions, what would it look like in the car to have that? Because there's couples watching. You don't have to be a couple, just be a friend. Again, let's turn left, let's go right.
It's a simple thing as just saying, why, if I just would have said, well, why do you think turning right would be better?
How will that get us there faster?
Because we'll get to the Johnson's house quicker.
Johnson's? What's a Johnson?
I thought we were going to the Joneses.
Okay. So sometimes it's a simple answer. When we're dealing with some situations in the Bible or, again, personal life stuff, it's sometimes just repeating things like, tell us more.
Yeah.
Help us a little bit. Help me understand that. Or to read emotion a little bit and say, help me understand, you just got all animated when you talked about you and Lisa there. You got all excited. Or every time you talk about your kids, you seem to get sad. There's some stuff going on there, but it's a way of helping people understand that you are seeking to understand. And we've talked about how, in other relationships I've had, we've had these discussions. What's it mean to listen? People say it's when you understand that the other person understands, that you felt understood. And that's
And we want to make sure that in the exercise you just did, you pulled out that listening has many facets to it.
Yeah, the third one is we're going to talk about putting this into practice. We engage truth, as we said. We seek to understand, and so we start to gather data. We get our hands around the truth. Now we have a sense of conviction around what that truth is. Again, about us, about the world, about God. We say, okay, this is it. Now we can say, boy, great study. Wasn't this awesome? Great point, Steve. And unfortunately, that's where things go sometimes in groups. We have a great discussion, but groups, I think, should exist to ask and answer the question, so what, or now what? How shall we now live? What do we do? How do we put this into practice? And one of the great people in the Bible, kind of one of my heroes related to this, is a guy named Ezra from Old Testament days, has a book named after him. Ezra was helping Israel come back to Jerusalem after they had been deported to Babylon, after they'd been in captivity. Nehemiah helps rebuild the wall. Some of you know that story. And here's someone who's responsible for reinstilling, what would you say, sort of the spiritual health of the community. And you look at this person's life and you say, well, how did he do that? He was sort of a teacher and a spiritual guide. And Ezra 7:10 says these words, that Ezra set himself to study the law of God, to practice it, and to teach its statutes or its commands in Israel. So there's this theme of to study, to practice, and to teach. In other words, it wasn't study, teach. I know that's a temptation for teachers. We get in our study, we look at the Bible, we look at other sources, and we're ready to get up and preach or teach or work with a class, but have we, and this is a conviction we have we said, have I lived this out yet?
In some of your translations, it's going to say observance, and it's all saying the same thing.
Yeah, to observe,
And the point that you're driving home is just great because we so often just get that out of order or it's absent completely.
Yeah. So one writer says that obedience, or putting this into practice, is to create a place or a space where we can practice truth, where obedience to truth can be done. That's what your group is. It's a place where people can come and say, hey, I'm trying to live this out. So we're trying to instill a value in you that over time, as you continue to meet, you say, help me obey this. I'm having trouble. Group, help me. I want to grow, and the group can help with that.
And that's just 1 Peter 1:22. It says, once you have discovered the truth, then you just need to obey it.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing, because that's what we like. We like to look at God's word
Love
and
to talk about it.
like to parse it and find out all those nuggets that are there.
Yeah.
But then the command is obey.
Yeah.
Obey the truth is what Peter says.
So let's kick it again back to you, back to your time. The last segment of these three, we'd like you to put together some time that says, okay, what do we do with this? We've been studying some data. We've been engaging truth, seeking to understand. How will we live this out in our next 7 days, or when you're going to meet again? Before this group comes back together again, what are you going to do with this? But we're not going to tell you what that is. That would be prescriptive, maybe easy, but you need to discover that as a community. You are a learning community, and figure out what to do. So turn to your guide and look at those questions and guidance again to help you take the next 15 minutes or so to discover together how you're going to put this truth into action as a community, and then we'll come back together with you and wrap things up.